Welcome back to the channel, Treasure Hunters. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who loves the thrill of the unknown, today's story might be the one that sends you scrambling through your coin jar. We're about to take a deep dive into a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about. A penny. Just a single, copper-colored 1-cent piece from 1999. But don't let its small size or ordinary appearance fool you. That tiny coin might just be your ticket to a small fortune. Think about it. How many times have you walked past a penny on the street and not bothered to pick it up? We've all done it. But what if I told you that one of those could be worth hundreds, or even tens of thousands of dollars? That's right, a 1999 Lincoln penny. Something so common, so everyday, so seemingly unimportant, could actually be incredibly rare and valuable. Now let's set the stage. The year is 1999. Bill Clinton is president. Everyone's gearing up for Y2K. DVD players are the new big thing. And the US Mint is churning out billions, and I do mean billions, of pennies. The official mintage for 1999 was massive. More than 5 billion struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's a whole lot of change hitting circulation. But amid those billions, a few coins, just a tiny fraction, came out not quite right. And those flawed few are the ones you need to know about. The 1999 Lincoln penny features the same obverse design introduced way back in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and a sitting president no less. It caused quite the stir when it was introduced. For nearly a century, that design stayed on the obverse with a few tweaks and refinements. On the reverse, from 1959 to 2008, we had the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. That memorial is more than just a building. If you look closely, you can actually see a tiny image of the seated Lincoln between the columns. It's a beautiful design that most people overlook. Now, the material. Prior to 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper. But rising metal prices forced a change. From 1982 onward, the mint began producing pennies made primarily of zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper, just enough to keep the color familiar. These newer pennies weigh 2.5 grams, compared to the older 3.11 grams copper versions. So by 1999, we were firmly in the copper-plated zinc era. So what makes a 1999 penny so special? Well, not all of them are. Most are exactly what they seem. Ordinary coins you'll find in parking lots or between your couch cushions. But, and this is a big but, a few 1999 Lincoln cents came out with errors. And in the coin collecting world, an error isn't just a mistake. It's a jackpot. A mint error can transform a 1-cent piece into a collectible worth hundreds, thousands, or more. And let me tell you, there's more than one kind of error to look for. Some of the most valuable 1999 pennies feature a double die obverse, a striking error where the die imprints the design on the coin twice, slightly misaligned. The result? A doubling effect most clearly seen on the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." These coins are subtle, often missed by the untrained eye, but once you know what to look for, you'll never see pennies the same way again. That's just scratching the surface. So, let's break down how these errors even happen in the first place. To understand that, we need to look inside the US Mint itself. Imagine an enormous, high-tech facility where machines are pounding out thousands of coins per minute. It's loud, fast, and absolutely precise. Most of the time. But even in a world of precision, things can go sideways. That's where the magic begins for collectors. When a coin is created, it goes through a multi-step process. First, a blank metal disc called a planchet is created. That planchet is then struck by a die, which contains the design for the coin. There are two dies, one for the obverse, front, and one for the reverse, back. These dies slam together with tremendous pressure, sometimes over 60 tons, to imprint the design into the metal. Now, if those dies get misaligned, worn out, or damaged, weird things happen. Let's talk about double die errors again, because this is one of the most famous and potentially lucrative kinds. A double die is not caused by the coin being struck twice, like some might think. No, it actually happens before the coin is even struck. It occurs during the creation of the die itself. When the die is being made, the design must be transferred onto it. If that process is done twice with a slight shift in alignment, boom, you've got a double die. And when that flawed die is used to mint coins, every single coin it touches will carry that error. Now imagine this, you're sorting through a handful of coins you just got as change from the grocery store. You spot a 1999 penny. Looks normal, until you tilt it under the light. Something's off. The lettering looks like it has a shadow. The date looks strange, like there's a ghostly outline next to it. Could it be a double die? Could that 1 cent be worth hundreds, or even more? That's the thrill. That's why collectors spend hours examining coins under magnifiers. Because hidden treasures like this are out there, and they're being overlooked every single day. But that's just one type of error. Let's get into another. Off-center strikes. Off-center coins are exactly what they sound like. Something goes wrong during the striking process. Maybe the planchet isn't properly aligned when it gets struck. The result? A coin with part of the design missing or shifted to one side. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable it tends to be. But here's the kicker. The date still needs to be visible. If the date is missing, it's much harder to verify the coin's identity and value. Imagine pulling a 1999 penny from a junk drawer and seeing that Lincoln's head is drifting off to the side, with part of the reverse completely blank. It looks like a factory defect, and it is, but instead of being worthless, it might be worth hundreds of dollars. Now let's talk about something even weirder. Clipped planchets. These errors happen before the coin is even struck. There's a flaw in the creation of the blank. When the metal sheet is punched to make planchets, sometimes 2 punches overlap, and the result is a blank with a missing crescent-shaped bite. These clipped coins are unusual and collectible, especially when the clip is obvious and dramatic. Collectors are drawn to these mint mistakes because they tell a story. Every error coin is a physical record of something going wrong inside a tightly controlled system. It's like a glitch in the Matrix, a tangible moment where perfection slipped and something rare was born. But here's where things get really exciting. There have been reports of proof coins, yes, those mirror-like collector's coins, somehow making their way into circulation. Proof coins are struck multiple times with polished dies on specially prepared planchets. They're supposed to be sold in sets to collectors. They're not meant for circulation, but mistakes happen. If a proof penny, say a 1999s, ends up in your pocket change, you're looking at a serious rarity. Imagine finding a 1999 penny that gleams like a mirror. The details are sharp, the finish is flawless, and you think, this looks too nice to be normal. That might be a rogue proof. And in excellent condition, those can fetch hundreds, sometimes more, especially if they grade high. And speaking of grading, this is something a lot of new collectors overlook. The condition of your coin can make or break its value. Even the rarest error means little if the coin is scratched, corroded, or worn down. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a 70-point scale, with MS-70 being a perfect mint state coin. The higher the grade, the higher the value, especially for rare errors. Let's bring it back to real-life examples, because nothing fuels excitement like actual results. In 2019, a 1999 Lincoln penny with a pronounced double die obverse sold for over $10,000. That's not an urban legend. That's a confirmed auction result. 1 cent turned into $10,000. And that's not an isolated case. Off-center errors have gone $4, $300, $450, even $700 depending on grade and rarity. A proof 1999s penny in pristine condition can bring in $800 or more, just for being in the right place at the wrong time. So think about this. Right now, yes, this very moment, there are people tossing potentially valuable pennies into vending machines. They don't know what they have, but you do. You know what to look for. You know what questions to ask. Is the date doubled? Is the image misaligned? Is there a chunk missing? Does the coin shine like a mirror? Because if the answer is yes to any of those, it might be time to put that penny under a microscope, figuratively or literally. But today we're going to change how you look at dimes forever. Because we're focusing in on one specific dime. The 1996 Roosevelt Dime from the Denver Mint. The 1996 D sounds ordinary, right? I mean, it's not ancient, it's not from the 1800s. It's not made of silver or gold or platinum. It's just a regular US dime from the mid-90s. Or is it? What if I told you that this dime, this little 10-cent piece, could be worth far more than its face value? That buried within its plain appearance might be clues to a story that numismatists, coin experts, are still unraveling? That tucked away in your change jar might be a dime not worth 10 cents, but hundreds, even thousands of dollars. You're probably thinking, come on, it's a 1996 dime. I've seen thousands of those. And you're right. The US Mint produced over 1.4 billion of the 1996 D dimes. That's right, billion with a B. So yeah, they're everywhere. Or at least they were. But in a sea of billions, there are always a few outliers. A few mistakes. a few anomalies. And in the world of coin collecting, those anomalies, they're what dreams and fortunes are made of. Let's go back in time for a moment. The year is 1996. It's the last year of the 20th century before the countdown to Y2K would send the world into a digital frenzy. Bill Clinton is president. The Macarena is inexplicably topping the charts. Independence Day just blew up the box office. And the US Mint is doing what it does best, pumping out coins for a bustling economy. In Denver, Colorado, one of the key US Mint facilities is producing Roosevelt Dimes as fast as machines will allow. The Roosevelt Dime has been the standard 10-cent design since 1946, introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death. His face is familiar, iconic, even calm, strong, determined. The reverse of the dime shows a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. Simple, symbolic, efficient. But somewhere in that sea of production, amid those billions of perfect, regulated, identical coins, something went not quite as planned. Somewhere a die was misaligned. Somewhere a strike was doubled. Somewhere, a special proof coin, meant to be sealed in a velvet case and sold to collectors, slipped into a roll of everyday pocket change. Somewhere, a 1996 D dime became more than just a dime. And the question that should be flashing in your mind like a Vegas neon sign is, could you have one of those dimes? Right now? Sitting in a drawer or buried under old receipts in your glove compartment. Now, before we start digging into the types of errors that have shown up on 1996 D dimes, let's talk about what makes a coin valuable in the first place. Because value in the numismatic world doesn't always come from age or rarity alone. It comes from imperfection. That's the strange, beautiful paradox of collecting. The best coins are often the ones that were made by mistake. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, are obsessed with these mistakes. Why? Because they are rare. They tell a story. They capture a moment where a rigid, mechanical process broke down for just long enough to produce something unique. Something one of a kind. And that brings us back to the 1996 D Roosevelt Dime. Let's start with the known and confirmed errors first. One of the most intriguing varieties from this year is the double die obverse, or DDO. For those new to the collecting world, a DDO occurs when the die used to stamp the coin's design has a doubled image, usually caused during its creation. So when it strikes a blank coin, that doubling transfers over, particularly noticeable on the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." Imagine holding up your dime, tilting it just right under the light, and realizing the letters seem to shimmer, like there's a shadow, a ghost of each letter hiding just behind the real one. That's a double die. And it doesn't just look cool, it can be extremely valuable. But that's just the start. There are also reports, though rare, of off-center strikes for 1996 D dimes. This is when the coin is struck improperly, so the design is shifted toward one edge, leaving a blank crescent along the opposite side. These errors are sometimes dramatic, even comical, and they always catch the eye. Off-center coins are prized not just for their rarity but also their strange beauty. Imperfect, yet perfect for collectors. Another thing to keep an eye out for? Die cracks and die chips. These are small raised lines or bumps on the surface of the coin, caused by a damaged or overused die. These might not sound exciting, but depending on the location and severity, they can create shapes that collectors nickname cud errors, spitting eagle, lightning cracks, and so on. A well-placed die crack can make a coin worth dozens or hundreds of times more than face value. And then, there's the ghost-proof theory. Some collectors have claimed to find circulation dimes from 1996 that appear to have proof-like qualities. These aren't confirmed errors, but the theory goes something like this. During the transition between proof and circulation production, a proof die may have been mistakenly used on a regular production line. The result? A dime that shines just a little brighter, has crisper details, a smoother surface, proof characteristics without the official proof designation. Now, whether these claims are verified is still up for debate, but here's the thing. The possibility that they exist keeps collectors searching, keeps people looking through jar after jar, coin roll after coin roll, hoping to find the dime that everyone else missed. And if you're still with me right now, that means you're feeling it too, that spark. That itch to check your pockets, to dump out your piggy bank, to look closer. Because this isn't just about a 10-cent coin. This is about what it represents. The unknown, the unexpected, the possibility that something incredibly valuable could be hidden in plain sight, just waiting for someone curious enough, someone like you, to find it.